Today's guest said, I believed in an adult. I believed in an adult who didn't believe in me. And that moment shaped years of her life. Welcome to Plot Twist, the show where we unpack the unexpected turns that shape our careers, relationships, and ourselves. I'm your host, Tiana, leader, speaker, and corporate mom. And I'm sitting down with guests that prove that growth begins often at the twist of a story. Let's dive in. This episode of Plot Twist is brought to you by Saga Publishing, because sometimes the biggest plot twists don't just happen in life, they happen between the pages of a book. Saga Publishing curates literary works that meet you exactly where you are. And yes, a few plot twists of my own are on the way. My first children's book, My Mom is a Superhero, which celebrates the triumphs moms pull off in our own supernatural way that are witnessed through the eyes of our children every day. If you're ready for your next read or perspective shift, visit sagapublishing.com and find your next plot twist today. Sometimes the most painful plot twists in our lives don't come from failure, they come from doubt. Sometimes it's self-doubt, and sometimes it's doubt from someone we trusted. A teacher, a counselor, a mentor, a parent, ultimately an adult. Today's guest shared something with me that I haven't stopped thinking about. She said, I believed in an adult. I believed in an adult who didn't believe in me. And that moment shaped years of her life. This episode is about courage, it's about permission, and it's about what happens when you stop building a life that impresses others and start building the one that speaks to you. My guest, Dina Escobedo, chose the path that was considered safe, responsible, the adult job. But deep down, she had another calling, and one day she decided to answer it. Today's guest shared something with me that I haven't stopped thinking about. She said, I believed in an adult. I believed in an adult who didn't believe in me. And that moment shaped years of her life. Dina, welcome to Plot Twist.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So take me back to high school, Dina. Who were you then, and what did dance mean to you at that stage of your life?
Yeah. Back to high school, Dina, I was just 17 years old. I was a cheerleader for the past 10 years of my life. And the reason why I was a cheerleader is because at 7 years old, I told my mother that I wanted to be a professional dancer when I grew up. I was watching a PBS special on one Saturday morning, sitting at home alone, watching this ballroom dance competition and all these flowy dresses just gliding on the floor. These men in these tailcoats. And I don't know if it was a Viennese waltz or a waltz, but I yelled for my mother and she came in frantic and I told her that that's what I want to be when I grow up. And I was 7. I had no idea where this desire came from. But as I grew up, my mom, we didn't have the means to put me in dance classes. So my mom was able to put me into cheerleading, like our local community center. And I was a cheerleader for 7 years. That was the closest thing I got to dance. But I still had this passion. I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow. And it was June of 2001 when I was graduating high school, kind of aging myself there. But every student had to have an exit interview with our guidance counselors. We were all assigned different guidance counselors based off our last names. I remember not being nervous, but I was so excited and thrilled to let my guidance counselor know what I wanted to do. And I wasn't really thinking about my path of going to college or doing anything like that because I lived in Southern California, just outside Los Angeles, where we had access to dance studios. We had access to scholarships and funding so I can start dancing. And I remember Miss Dayton asked me what I wanted to do when I graduated high school and eventually when I graduated college. And I just told her that I wanted to become a professional dancer. And she laughed and it almost like she was embarrassed for me that I had this crazy idea that I was going to be an artist and I was going to be able to live off an artist's income. And this was back in the day where all the millennials were being told, you have to go to college and you have to get a career. And, you can have your house with the white picket fence and 2.5 children, but it was all ingrained in us going to school and being in tens of thousands of dollars in debt. And so after speaking with Miss Dayton, she kind of just like knocked the wind out of my sails when I told her that I wanted to become a professional dancer. And she just presented all of these opportunities for me to go to college. And she said the easiest path for me was to go to community college and then work my way there. Sorry, it just sounds like a horrible story that I'm like reliving
No,
this.
it's a horrible reality that some of our listeners are listening to and are resonating with.
So after meeting with Miss Dayton and kind of sitting there in reality of I shouldn't be a dancer, that I should go to college and I should have a career like everybody else is expected to. And I'm going to possibly pursue that dream as a hobby. And I kind of had to put that on the back burner. And I initially started going to school for psychology. I realized 3 years in that I can't save every single child and I can't save everybody from their family. It really took a toll on me. And I had to take a 1 year hiatus from school. I found a life coach and he really set me on the path. And I went back to school for marketing and again, more debt. I got my marketing degree and not once in my corporate career did I use that degree. I eventually became an executive assistant and I started off as an administrative assistant, worked my way up to executive assistant, and I became an executive assistant to high profile CEOs for about the last 10 years of my career. And I did that for 22 years, more than like a whole lifetime or half a lifetime for me. My life was focused on a career that I had no passion for, that I had no drive for, that I woke up and I felt like an imposter. I had imposter syndrome because I wasn't myself. I was waking up every morning to an alarm clock that I could not stand. I hated setting the alarm clock at night. I had the Sunday scaries, the typical corporate angst that people develop in their careers when they realize they're not where they're meant to be and they're not being true and authentic to themselves.
It's wild how, like, a single sentence can just redirect your entire life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I found myself in that position. I found myself just helping executives. I just got to a point where I was absolutely frustrated with helping the success and the growth of their organization for 22 years, having no recognition for what I've been doing and the sacrifices I was making, not only for myself, but for my family. A single mom of two sons, and they're not children anymore. I have a 22-year-old and a 16, about to be 17-year-old.
Wow, you did it then, mama. You raised them all the way through.
I did. I did. And I'm very proud of who they are because they get to see who I am today. And I haven't even got to that point of who I am today. Oh my goodness.
Yes, we're gonna cover that because for the listeners, or if you're watching this on video, Dina is a beautiful woman inside and out. She has so much light and passion. So to start off with the heavy story, I really want people to understand how much that one sentence, that laugh, really changed your whole trajectory and how it landed so heavy. Let's talk about how long you silenced your passion. How long was it before you were like, "I gotta do something different?"
Yes. I started learning how to salsa dance when I was 15. I learned it on my own. I learned it from friends. I learned it from a little rec center, where I lived. And then at 17, I was actually hired to start teaching. Yes, I know. Again,
Cool.
that's also why I was 17 years old in high school, 17 years old teaching salsa dancing. And I came to my guidance counselor and I said, this is actually what I want to do. This is what I want to be. This is who I am.
And you
Uh,
had a plan and you had, like, some trajectory, like, this isn't just like a pie in the sky. I'm already working in this, and I'm not even an adult yet.
No.
Hey, quick pause. If you're still listening right now, that tells me something about you. Go ahead and click follow or subscribe so conversations like this keep showing up in your feed. It's a small click for you, but a huge help for the show. All right, let's get back to the episode.
So to be stripped of that idea immediately and being handed a college application and saying, you need to start college this summer or this fall was just like a jump switch from being who I really was, and who I really authentically wanted to be into being this persona that society expected of me, that my peers and adults and teachers, everybody expected of me. And so, yeah, I did that. But alongside my hobby teaching, I was teaching salsa. I had a huge following back home in LA since I was 18. I was working corporate and I was teaching Tuesday nights. And everybody knew I was teaching 6:30 to 7:30 beginner salsa, 7:30 to 8:30 intermediate salsa. But for me, it wasn't a job because an adult told me I wouldn't be able to live off that. And so I did that. I was in this job Tuesday nights for 10 years when I was back home in Los Angeles. When I moved out to Denver in 2014, nobody knew who I was. I was working in nightclubs out in LA one night a week. Just I had my corporate job and I was working teaching salsa. I was working and I did ballroom dancing. I was working and it was just dancing was always in the background for me because it's what I loved. I felt the most free on the dance floor, wearing dance shoes, being in front of a mirror, listening to music. So I always had that hobby job. I honestly thought that was the only way for me to sustain my life, be a mom, contribute to my family, and that was that.
Yeah. Sometimes we don't abandon our dreams, we just archive them in the background.
Yes, but I don't know what it is. I feel like once you turn 40, you're like, "F this. I need to be myself. I'm tired of living for other people." I mean, yes, I'm a mom, but my children, my 22-year-old is out on his own. My 16-year-old, he's has his own car. He does photography. He makes his own money. And because he sees what I do and he sees my drive,
Are raising responsible young men.
yes, they're both so hungry to be their true authentic selves. And I'm so proud of them. And I feel like I need to be a role model to them. And
Absolutely.
yeah, because I needed that growing up.
Yeah, we make a bigger impact than what we realize. Just
Absolutely.
this morning, my daughter said to me, "Mom, you're putting on makeup. Are you doing it so you look better?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, it's not working." And I said, "Excuse me?" She goes, "Because you look so much better without it. You don't need it." And I'm like, "Gosh, okay, I need to be cognizant that our kids are watching and we do need
Absolutely.
to be that role model to them and
Yes,
letting them know what's confident and, it's expression and you can express yourself and live and be smart about it."
absolutely. Yes, and that's the thing. We're raising children for our next future, and we want them to feel 100% who they are. I wanna know my children, and I wanna know their true and honest opinions, rather than suppressing who they're meant to be. And, yeah, our children they're our biggest teachers as well. They're a reflection of who we are. Um, but pivoting back, when I moved out to Denver on January of 2014, nobody knew who I was. And I felt like I took a million steps back from my dance, like my hobby, my career, my passion. And it was always there. I found the number one Latin nightclub here in Denver, which is La Rumba, and it was a passion and goal of mine to work there. I was there like almost every night that there had Latin music there. And I remember working in different companies as an executive assistant, just helping executives grow in their careers and help them being successful, being on call like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, sometimes working Saturdays, very rarely working Sundays, but I still was obligated to do that. I just felt like, again, putting my passion on the back burner. I wasn't teaching for a while. And I thought that the only thing I can do out here was be an executive assistant, grow in my career. I remember watching my executives grow and move up, and I was still an executive assistant. I was not living my passion. I saw them increase their salaries and buy bigger houses, which is
Yeah,
amazing, but I wanted that for myself.
absolutely. So at some point, something shifted and you woke up and said, "Today's the day." What was that pivotal moment?
The family that I worked for, I was helping them with their fundraising to develop and grow. I felt like a lot of my efforts weren't being recognized. And I felt like every time I was meeting with my CEO, they either one, last minute had to reschedule, two, wouldn't show up for our meetings, three, I would be packing up my office at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, and they would walk in, sit down in front of me, and want to go through our meeting that they missed the day of. That was every Tuesday morning.
How inconsiderate.
Yes. And that happened for several months, and this started happening in December before I quit that following March. I would get phone calls on the way home from work, and I would have to reject because I respect my time, I respect my boundaries.
Mhm.
5 o'clock was cutoff time. I had to be home, and again, I went back into teaching at a ballroom studio, and this person knew I had to be home, I had to shower, and I had to be on my way to the ballroom studio so I can make more money or that I can still live out my passion.
Mhm.
And I just felt like my time was being disrespected every Tuesday. I if you heard my voice memo, I said I was upset, and I said I don't know if it was the anger or I was just mad that day, but I was like, "I'm not being disrespected anymore." And honestly, I had no idea what I was gonna do after that. It was Tuesday, March 12th, morning of I'm sitting here at home because I was working at home. I get online and my CEO failed to show up for our one-on-one meeting. I called them not only on Teams, I called them on Zoom, I FaceTimed them, I texted them, I called them, no answer. Again, this was on repeat. The frustration of helping an executive become successful and not appreciating what I'm doing every day, helping their success and not living my success. I literally closed my laptop, packed up everything. Drove to work. I went to the receptionist and I said, "Today's my last day."
Kudos to you on honoring your own boundaries and saying, I need to listen to myself, because when we don't listen to ourselves, our bodies start to take effect. We start to shrink within ourselves. We feel more tired. We feel more exhausted. We're no longer happy. We don't have that peace. So that's so brave of you to do that and say, I don't know what I'm going to do, but the first step is getting out of here.
Yes, yes. And just having that moment of clarity of I'm closing the chapter. I have to move forward. But what the heck am I going to do? Am I actually going to be a dance instructor? And I don't know if it's when it's like that sink or swim moment when you're just like, something needs to happen. And I had to
Yep.
start believing in myself and I had to start believing in my dream. And I had to start honestly just knowing it was all going to work out no matter what. So closing the chapter, leaving my executive assistant career behind almost 2 years ago now, really opened up doors because I was hungry. I had that drive. I felt like 17-year-old Dina again of, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a dancer. Like I have to. It's the only way I can know how to live. It's the only way I know how to be happy. It's the only way I can be happy. And I just remember I left and everyone called me from work. They're like, "You're coming back? What are you going to do?" And I said, "I'll figure it out." And I remember saying that because growing up, my mom always said when we didn't have the means, she always was like, "We're going to figure it out no matter what." It didn't happen overnight. I had one dance contract. I was teaching Wednesday nights salsa. And from there, I went to all these job dance forums on Facebook, social media, all these different outlets. I did that for, I don't even know, almost a year.
Did it feel like work when you were doing this activity?
No, it didn't. It felt like I it felt like I was just meeting friends. I was like, "Oh yeah, you're a dancer. I'm a dancer. I could totally contribute to your studio."
Good.
Yes. And a lot of my students, a lot of my clients, they're women in their early 30s to mid 60s who have always wanted to dance. And they were just like, why did I never? Just like there's something so feminine. There's just is something so, I don't know, just you just feel like yourself and you feel like those women that I saw on television when I was 7 years old and just freely gliding on the dance floor in these long ball gowns. And it's just
Yeah.
so beautiful and just so elegant.
I've taken a few dance classes and it just re-energizes and you decompress from all the stresses and you go back to that innocent mindset when you're doing something that you love.
Absolutely. Yes. And it just helping again. I wouldn't wanna say I'm a people pleaser. I'm a former people pleaser because I like to make sure I'm happy too. That's, like, the most important thing is my happiness.
Mhm.
And so just a little thing, I always tell people, like, I always wanna make little Dina happy. I'm sorry, I always wanna make little Dina proud and future Dina happy. So,
Yes.
I
We should
always
all do that. If our kid version of ourselves was seeing us, we should be like, "Yeah, that's the adult I wanted to be when I grow up."
Yes. Yes, I'm actually living my childhood dream, and I teach every single day of the week. I get to dance, I get to live out my dreams. My honestly, my dream was to wear leggings. I wear leggings every day. I wear leggings, have my dance shoes in my car. I have 2 stereos, like 2 little travel speakers in my car. Curate my own playlist. I listen to music every day. I put syllabus together for my students. I put plans together. I find performance opportunities for them because I see the passion that they have and I want to bring that out. For me, I want to help people have this feeling when I wake up every morning that I'm waking up and I'm being my true authentic self. And I don't have to be like in the movie Kill Bill Volume 2, when Bill's
Love the
telling
Kill Bill
Beatrix
series.
Kiddo, that's when Superman wakes up, he has to become Clark Kent. He has to put those glasses on and put that suit on, and he has to blend in with everybody else. That's what I felt I was doing every morning living in corporate. I felt like I was waking up not me. I had to put on the glasses, the jacket, the pencil skirt, the 3-inch pumps, wear makeup. I don't like makeup. We were talking about makeup earlier. I only wear makeup to perform. I felt like I had to be presentable every single day. Like,
And
yeah.
when you feel fulfilled, you can be just as proud and successful as if you had that job title or that degree.
And it's so funny, even though I have my marketing degree.
Mhm.
I mean, I use it a tad bit because I have to market
Yeah,
myself, but
exactly.
I call myself a dancing billboard because when I go out dancing, people see and they're like,
Mhm.
"Are you a dance instructor?" I'm like, "Absolutely." Like, "Do you do private lessons?" "Yes." And I immediately exchange information. I immediately reach out to them because I'm like, "What are your goals? I wanna help you fulfill and succeed to your goals." Every day, and you said it, I love what I do and I do what I love. Every single day. Well, it's so funny because, like, when you start thinking about when people get up and they go to work, are they really happy? Are they authentically happy? Or are they doing it because it's expected of them?
Mhm.
Again, I don't know if it's this turning point, the Saturn return, turning 39 or 40 years old, and people are like, "F this, I'm gonna be who I wanted to be. I'm gonna become a professional soccer player," or "I'm gonna
Yeah,
become," and it's just we all have dreams that we have not reached yet.
absolutely. Because when I think about your story, I keep thinking about what if that guidance counselor had said to you, "All right, Dina, you wanna do this? I recommend marketing, so that way you can market your dancing." Or there are degree plans in technical dance. What if that guidance counselor had directed you in how to make the path that you are already on more finite for you?
Oh my gosh, look at you're making me tear up
I'm
because I would
sorry.
it's okay.
That's how I felt when I heard your story, by the way, because that one person could have changed everything and told you, all right, girlie, you want to do this? Let's make sure you get some food on the table. Let's strategize because you're doing it. The thing that she didn't think that you could do and take care of yourself, you're supporting yourself and a family.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, that's what I feel like that's what guidance counselors are there to do, is
Yeah.
guide you, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
That's in their title.
"This is who you wanna be, let's get you there,"
Yeah.
and I'm crying because I'm thinking and I don't want to, like, throw her under the bus or say she did a horrible job. I mean, she kinda did, but
No.
she she made me stop believing in myself, and I allowed that. I take responsibility, I take accountability that I allowed her to make me stop believing in myself and stop believing in my dream for 22 years.
But on the flip side, we as adults can also think about the things that we say and how can we show up when someone is being vulnerable with us too. So it's a lesson on both sides.
Right, and that's why, like, when I meet with my clients and I'm so proud to be their first dance instructor, and I'm so elated And I just want to give them everything in that one lesson, but I know it's baby steps, I don't want to I don't want them drinking from a fire hydrant, but I get them just excited that they're finally doing what they want to do. And I have had so many students come up to me and they're like, "You've built confidence. Like, I'm able to speak up at work now. I'm able to walk into a room and hold my own energy and stand up tall." And I didn't do this on my own. I have a network of people. I have a lot of bosses because I work at 3 dance studios. I work at
That's
a night
amazing.
Yeah, I work at a nightclub. And not only that, like, I love moving. I love moving so much. And I started a career as a fitness instructor for senior citizens. And that
Nice.
just snowballed
You're
as well.
busy.
I am busy. I am very, very busy. If you saw me on social media, I list out all of my daily schedule for the day because I want people to know I love what I do and I do what I love. Here's proof. I wake up and I go work out. I go to the senior center. I go and I teach chair mobility and senior stretch, senior cardio. I take a little break. I take a nap. With the luxury of taking a nap during the day, oh my God.
You've just perked up a bunch of ears with that one.
The luxury, yes, the luxury to take a nap at 12, me and my friends for lunch, and they have to run back to corporate. I get to go home and I get to take a nap on the sofa, set an alarm for 45 minutes later. I wake up and then I get to go teach all my dance classes at night. And not only that, I get to travel with dancing. I have an all-ladies salsa team and we go to Vegas and we are performing there again for 4th of July weekend. We perform at all different local events.
Amazing. All right.
Yeah.
So, Dina, for the listener who's sitting at a desk right now or driving in their car and listening to this and resonating with what you're saying, and they feel the tug to do something creative or something different, what would you say to them?
Risk it all and believe in yourself because it is going to work out no matter what. It will all be figured out because what's meant for you is absolutely meant for you. The life that you dream of is on the other side of fear. You've heard this quote before. The fear is what stops us. Fear of failure. I am very aware of that. Fear of not being able to pay your bills. I am very aware of that. Oh yeah, that's the reality.
I've been there too.
That's a possibility.
That makes you human.
Yes. When you start living your true authentic self, for some reason, the universe puts this blessing of, this bubble of blessings all over you and
100%.
makes those connections, makes that network, puts that opportunity in your way, in your path, no matter what, because it's meant for you.
So, Dina, if there's 2 ways that people can reach out to you, whether they want to get into dance or they want to ask you more questions about this journey, what's 2 ways that people can reach out to you?
Absolutely. So my Instagram handle is the best way. You can message me through there. It's at salsa with Dina. My name is Dina. And the other way is through Gmail. Honestly, I get a lot of email. I'm an international online dance instructor as well. And
Yeah.
you can sign up for a subscribe to my dance classes. Again, salsa with Dina at gmail.com. And yeah, if anybody's in Kuwait, I'm invited out there to teach a dance class in Kuwait for a weekend workshop. Yes.
Impressive. I
Thank
will make sure that your Instagram handle and your email address are in the show notes, so that way folks can click on that and get in contact with you right away. Before we wrap things up, Dina, I have to ask you the plot twist question. If there is one plot twist you hope this conversation creates for the listener, what is it?
that you get to wake up being your true authentic self by living out your dream, your childhood dream, whatever that was or whatever that is.
Thanks for tuning into Plot Twist. If this story made you pause, reflect, or smile, please share it with someone who's in the middle of their own plot twist. You can catch more episodes on Spotify, YouTube, and connect with me on my socials. Until next time, keep writing your own story.